Who Am I are an Australian power pop band who were formed in 1989 and are still going. They've had a stable lineup since the year 2000 and they're fronted by a guy called Timothy Rogers. They are the first Australian band to have had 3 successive albums that debuted at number 1 in the Australian charts, and they have released in total 11 studio albums so far. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is the second album by You and I, and it's my first time having an encounter with them as a band. It's a slightly unusual band name, but yeah. So apparently in 2008, this was voted the 6th greatest Australian album of all time in the newspaper poll of a newspaper called The Age. And it seems to be quite consistently described as power pop. So I've been trying to work out where the distinction is between pop rock and power pop. And from what I gather, then pop rock is leaning more towards the pop side. Power pop is leaning more towards the rock side. So it's rockier, apparently. I'm happy with that as a description. So it's guitar led, definitely kind of rocky stuff, but it's songs that are, with choruses and hook lines and have got a strong and immediate impact. At times, it reminded me of bits of grunge, kind of specifically, I guess, bits of Nirvana. Not so much in the sound, but in the chord sequences. They have this fairly interesting approach to chords in that they kind of seem to pick them randomly and then play with them. At other times, it reminded me of people like Green Day and The Offspring and stuff in that, I guess, that has generally been called new punk, but I wouldn't call this punk, but it has that same kind of immediacy to it. It's guitar based, and I think that it's got a kind of soft compression to it, which is, I think, the thing that's reminding me particularly of Green Day, etc., people like that. So a few of the tracks feature acoustic guitar, but mostly it's electric guitar. And there's a directness of approach here that, at the risk of saying something that tars the whole of Australia with one brush, I think it's a kind of directness that comes naturally to Yorkton and Australians, as I say, in a vast generalisation. So there's songs about peoples and situations. It's kind of mildly story-like, and very much a product of its time, I would say. It sounds like mid-90s, and it is mid-90s, and that's okay. That's a good thing, I would say. It's got a little kind of feel of rawness and scrappiness to it. Again, not meant as a criticism. It just means it's got that energy. It's kind of fastish. And I get why people like it. And, why people have voted it one of the best Australian albums. I think I don't know that many Australian albums, so I don't really know how to compare. Do I like it? Reasonably well. It's not middle of my sort of thing. I don't kind of jump up and down in glee about it, but neither is it something that puts me off. On the right day, I might deliberately decide to listen to this. But there's quite a few other things that are out there that have similarities, I would say. But it's all right. It's well done. It's pretty decent. So reasonable enjoyment from me. I'd love to know what you think. So please do tell me what you think of this album by leaving me a comment. And that's it from me for now.
Never wanted more from a local store. Just to be by myself beyond the right side of the shelf. For every drink I